Welcome back, everyone, to the holiday version of Fostering Kids Universe. We are going to be going over the top 10 things that are said to us at holiday events. In our case, it's Christmas time, so we're going to say what not to say during Christmas time.
Or anytime.
Or, yeah. Well, yeah, you're right.
The first thing on the list is, do you like living with your foster mom or dad? I think this is the first time that I heard somebody say something to our foster kids that really made me cringe for them. It doesn't really matter if a kid likes living with their foster mom or dad. They're there, and they don't have much decision in the matter. So they might feel pressure to feel like they have to say yes. I do like living with them, but really deep down they probably just want to be with their mom and dad. Number 2 on our list is, they are so lucky to be with you.
Yeah, we hear this all the time when they're around us, and if you put yourself in their situation, they're not really lucky to be with you, because otherwise, if they were lucky, they'd still be with their parents. But it's not really a choice that they have. They're kind of forced into the situation, so we don't have to remind them how lucky or unlucky they are. We can just say, like, oh, we're happy to see you guys. Number 3, assuming that they call us mom and dad.
This is an easy one that kind of can slip out. Sometimes people don't know what to call the foster parents, so it's best to just ask, because sometimes kids do call their foster parents mom and dad, especially if there are other kids around, but a lot of times they don't. They call them by a first name, or they have a different name, and it can put the kid in a really awkward situation if you're referring to people that are not their parents as their mom and dad.
In our case, our kids came up with a nickname for us that was kind of our version for mom and dad. In my case, it was Pudgy. In your case, it was what they call her, which I'm not going to say. It's a nice name. And also, sometimes I'll remind people that we're not their mom and dad, and they call us something different. And sometimes people kind of force the idea and say, oh no, you are their mom and dad, you're taking care of them. Well, we're not actually their mom and dad, so try not to force the idea that we're a mom and dad to them. Number 4 on the list, we get asked all the time, don't you guys want to have your own kids?
So for many foster parents, this can be a sensitive issue, because who knows why foster parents decided to be foster parents. There could be a multitude of reasons, and you're really kind of diving into a really personal subject. So, I mean, if it's a trusted friend, of course, that's something you would ask, but it's not something to ask in front of the kids, or just on a very casual basis. Number 5 is something that we hear a lot is, you guys are saints.
Yeah, this came up in that Instant Family movie. I thought it was pretty funny because we could relate to it. There's a lot of reasons why this one kind of rubs me the wrong way. The major one is because we're not. If you lived with us, you would see that we're not saints, and we make many, many mistakes. We're constantly growing and learning from each other. It's challenging, in our case, to raise 3 foster kids. So we'll kind of catch each other and say, hey, that probably wasn't the right thing to do in this situation. Let's try it this way next time. Or we'll even go a month of doing something, and then we realize, wow, that wasn't what we should be doing. Let's change it up and discipline a different way, or whatever it is. But I think this is general for every single parent. You always learn as you go with kids, and we're doing the same thing. So we're not saints. And number 6 on our list, we get this a lot too, mainly from our family. Love you, family. You are going to adopt them, right?
This is tricky because, of course, if we were in the position that the children needed to be adopted, we would love to adopt them. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, we don't know what's going to happen from day to day, week to week, to month. Everything is always changing. And the number one goal is always to restore the biological family and return them home. So as much as we love our kids and we want to adopt, that's not always the best case scenario for the children. So we just have to continue to support what's best for them.
And next on the list, number 7, kind of goes along with number 6. Once you tell them you're not going to adopt, people always look at you and go, "What? You're not going to adopt? But they'd be so much better off with you."
So sure, maybe in our home they might have more opportunities and a very stable home, but in general it's more traumatic for a child to be removed from their biological family than it is to grow up in a family that's maybe not the best. So no matter what, even if we do feel like they would be better off with us. It's not our decision, it's not our choice. We're not their parents.
And number 8 on our list is a classic one that we hear all the time. No matter where we go, people look at us and say, "I could never foster. I could never send a kid back home." My response was almost the complete opposites of foster mom's response. I look at it as when people tell me that, it kind of makes me sound like I don't have a heart, so I can just give them back because I don't really care about them. I don't really think that all the time. It's just kind of what I was thinking when I was thinking about my response. But then I heard foster mom's response, and I thought it was interesting.
Usually when somebody says that to me, "Oh, I could never do that," I usually interpret it as somebody telling us that it's something that's very difficult to do, and that we're strong and or brave for doing so. Number 9 is, in general, don't ask a kid about their past, or even the foster parents really about the kid's past. If it's something that a kid wants to tell you, then they will tell you when they're feeling ready. And honestly, it's really not any of the foster parents' business telling anybody what the child's story is. Don't assume anything about a child's story, because sometimes a child wants to talk about their story and wants to talk about their mom and dad. They feel a lot of affection for them, so they're willing to give that information. So we had an experience where a child in our family asked one of our foster kids some really deep personal questions, and it was interesting because at the time one of our children was 6 years old, and she just came right out and said, "This is what's going on." But her older sibling, who was probably 9 or 10 at the time, seemed very embarrassed and kind of scolded her and saying, like, "You don't want to be telling everybody that." So it's even within a family, from child to child, they can have a different response to people asking them personal questions.
And last but not least, number 10, this isn't really something anyone says to us, but it is something that a lot of our friends and family will do with our foster kids, is give them things, whether it's food or gifts or just toys. When we first started this, we asked for a lot of stuff because we didn't have any kids, so we needed toys and beds and all that kind of stuff. But then after that, we have so many toys that I started packing them away in the attic, and we can't keep up with it all, because everywhere we go, people kind of just naturally feel bad for them, so they give them just anything that they can think of. It's a nice gesture, and I'm not saying that giving foster kids gifts is a bad thing at all, but just be maybe mindful of the foster parents, or ask them first if it's okay to give them more gifts, especially the little stuff that adds up.
Yeah, I did have our foster kids once ask at the very beginning, like, "Why are people giving us presents? What did we do? Why are they giving us presents?" So it was a little confusing to try to explain to them why people were giving them gifts.
Because that's not a normal thing that normal kids get all the time. Yeah. And they just want to be normal.
Yeah, just treat them like a normal part of the family, or a normal kid, how you would treat them. So in general, don't feel like you have to walk on eggshells around foster kids. These questions are going to come up. So if anything, just take away these points as something to think about, just to be a little bit mindful of. If you really have a question about something, it's best to pull a foster parent aside alone and ask them privately, and I'm sure you can get a good, honest answer and feel more comfortable with the situation.
Or if you have other questions, you can keep watching our videos as we go along. So please like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Facebook at Fostering Kids Universe. We're so glad that you're watching, and please stick along with us. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.